Welcome back to Silk Warrant. Today in this story is about the moment I proved the books weren't hers, they were mine.
The manuscript was open on my screen. Her name was on the cover. Mine was nowhere. Her name was Diana Marsh. She was my boss, my publisher's golden child, and the woman who had won 2 literary awards for words she had never written. The smell of her office, leather and jasmine from a diffuser, had soaked into my clothes so completely I stopped noticing it years ago. I had one thought while I stared at that cover. She had no idea I kept the drafts. There was a flash drive on my keychain I had never shown her. And the night she accepted her first award on live television, the night she cried into the microphone and thanked her muse, I pressed it between my fingers the entire time. I moved to New York at 26 with a graduate degree in creative writing and the specific kind of confidence that lasts exactly 3 months before it meets rent. Diana Marsh had a reputation. She wrote literary fiction, spare, devastating female interiority in the style of the greats. Her first novel had been a modest hit. Her second was optioned for film. The ad read, editorial assistant. It paid $38,000 a year. I took it. The first 6 months were normal. I answered emails. I scheduled calls. I formatted manuscripts. Then one October afternoon, Diana dropped a stack of pages on my desk and said, "I have the bones. I just need someone to flesh them out. You're good at this. I'll compensate you." 40 pages. Handwritten fragments, more like mood boards with words. She wanted a short chapter, something to show her editor by Friday. I wrote it in 2 evenings, 1,400 words. She read it, nodded once, and said, "This is exactly right. Send it." That was the first chapter of what became The Interior Season, the book that won her the Harper Prize. The book she cried over at the podium. The book with her name in foil, above mine in the acknowledgments, where I was listed simply as C. Harmon, indispensable. Indispensable. I thought about that word for 3 years. By the end of year 1, I understood the arrangement. Diana had ideas in the way people with money have ideas, loosely held, generously described, never executed. She would talk at me for an hour about a character's emotional landscape, the light in a particular room, a woman who could not grieve properly. Then I would go home, and I would write. She paid me an extra $800 a month in cash. She called it a research stipend. She said it every time with a small, patient smile, the smile she used to signal that the current reality was the only reality available. Her tell, I noticed it early. Whenever Diana had already decided something and didn't want a conversation about it, she smiled exactly like that, corners up, eyes flat, and named the thing with a soft noun. Research stipend. Creative consultation. Our process. I saved every draft on that flash drive from day 1. Not out of calculation, but out of instinct, the kind every woman who has ever been made to disappear develops eventually. The second book was harder because the expectations were higher. The Interior Season had established Diana's voice, my voice, technically, as something sparse, elliptical, and deeply interior. Her editor, a man named Gordon Fitch at Alderton Press, called it a voice that could not be faked. He was more right than he knew. Diana's notes for Book 2 were less coherent. She was on the awards circuit, doing residencies, being photographed at Yaddo. I was in a studio apartment in Bushwick, writing a novel about a woman whose marriage had failed slowly from the inside, the way houses settle. I had never been married. I wrote it from the marrow anyway. When I handed her the completed draft, 281 pages, she read it in a weekend and came in Monday morning with her flat smile. "This is the best thing I've ever done." I remember exactly where I was standing, the third window from the left. The jasmine diffuser was on the shelf behind her head. I nodded. That book, A Slow Interior, won the Dunmore Prize for Women's Fiction and was longlisted for the Booker. I want to be accurate about what happened in year 3, because it matters to what came later. Diana's editor, Gordon, had been patient, the way people with contracts are patient, until the deadline is 18 months out, and then suddenly they are not. He emailed Diana directly about the third manuscript. Diana forwarded it to me without comment. I read his email. Then I read it again. He was asking about the provenance of the second manuscript. One of his junior editors, a woman named Rachel Osa, had flagged something during a deep edit. She noted that the stylistic fingerprints of a slow interior were inconsistent with Diana's known public drafts from her workshop years. She had a file, interview transcripts, workshop critiques, publicly available archive material. She had done her homework. What was in that email should not have existed. Diana called me into her office that same afternoon. The jasmine was stronger than usual. She stood at the window, something she only did when she was managing a situation. "This is a misunderstanding," she said. "Rachel is overzealous. Gordon will handle it." Then the smile, corners up, eyes flat. "Our process is collaborative," she said. "That's always been true." "You know that?" I nodded. I went back to my desk. That same day, I copied everything from the flash drive to a second location. Diana flew to London in March for a speaking engagement. I managed her inbox while she was gone. At 11:14 on a Tuesday, my phone rang. It was Gordon Fitch. "I'm trying to reach the author of A Slow Interior," he said. "I believe that's you." The sentence hung in the air. "I'm Diana Marsh's assistant," I said carefully. "I know what your title says," Gordon replied. "I need the draft files, the metadata. The original timestamped documents." "Give me 24 hours," I said. I compiled everything that night. Every draft, every note, every record. I sent it the next morning. Diana came back from London bright and glowing, carrying that post-audience energy. She placed a small bottle of perfume on my desk. "Good week?" she asked. "Productive," I said. She smiled, the real one. She had no idea. Gordon called her that Friday. The call lasted 11 minutes. When she stepped out, her face looked carefully arranged. "We need to talk," she said. She sat down, tried for the flat smile. It didn't come. "Gordon says there are documents." "Yes, you sent them." "He asked me to verify the manuscript's origin. I verified it." She stared at me. "I gave you a platform," she said. "You were nobody when you came here." I let her finish. "You were right about that," I said. "You were wrong about everything else." Rachel Osei called me 2 days later. "I believe you," she said, "and I want to help." And she did exactly that. Diana's contract was not renewed. The books went under legal review. Alderton Press contacted me directly. The next printing of A Slow Interior would carry a new name. C. Harmon, my name, on the front. Diana released a statement, careful words, controlled tone. I said nothing. I cleared my desk on a Wednesday, left the perfume behind, took only my keychain, the flash drive still clipped to it. The lobby smelled like jasmine, but for the first time, it didn't smell like hers. I'm not telling you this because I won. I'm telling you this because I spent 3 years disappearing inside someone else's story. And the real problem wasn't the silence. It was that I accepted what they decided I was worth. My third novel is due in April. It's the best thing I've ever written. I don't need anyone to confirm that anymore. If the people who benefited most from your silence had to describe you today, would they describe who you are, or only what you've done for them?